little mama. Welcome to the table. I am, and so you're with me. We are sitting talking to my friend, Sara Cowman. Sara and I both have the same love for home that we've had for our whole lives, and it's just so wonderful to be in her home. We are in Sara's home today, and we're on location, and I'm excited for you to learn some practical tips and tools, but also the essence of what home is from Sara. And I think that as we go through these times that are so chaotic, that home needs to be a place where, although noisy and may be kind of chaotic with kids under your feet, it doesn't have to be stressful, and it doesn't have a sense of chaos. And so we're going to talk about that today on Moms Like Us Do Things Like This. Welcome to the Moms Like Us podcast, where moms just like you learn strategies, systems, and skills through expert interviews and real-life insight designed to take your marriage, mothering, and home to the expert level. Hi, I'm Mona Corwin, your mom mentor and host, author, international speaker, and the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. I've been coaching moms for over 25 years, and I have some really good news for you. Motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. You can crush it at motherhood instead of motherhood crushing you. So let's get to today's show. All right, I'm back with Sara. And like I said, this is Sara Cowman. She's a friend of mine. She is a hospitality guru. She is also a Bible teacher. She is really knowledgeable about God's Word. She loves God's Word, and she has three kids, and she lives in a beautiful home here in Plano near me. I want you to be able to see what being on the other side of your chaos can look like. But the truth is, even though it's calm and it's very beautiful, you can have calm and very beautiful with kids in the house. And Sara and I are going to talk about when we were first married and what that looked like. So we're going to start. Sara, I'm so glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at my table.
I am. I'm sitting at your table. And look, she's made me key lime, and I will be eating that promptly when we're finished. Don't tell my husband. He's going to want some. I bet I could take some home to work. He'd like it.
Yeah, well, I have more. You can take it some.
I bet you do. Okay, well, tell me a little bit about, this is gorgeous. We have talked about this, how sometimes when the girls come into our homes, they're like, oh, Yeah. But it hasn't always been that way for us.
No, it hasn't always been like this. I mean, I was telling you earlier, we lived here for 18 years, and we just finally did a remodel. Our first home, I was thinking about this as you were asking about, I can remember our first home, we didn't have furniture in our dining room or our living room for several years. So it's about being content with where you are, where God has you, whatever your season is. We're in a very different season now. Our kids are all graduated. We have some extra money now because we're not paying tuition. So all those things. I remember our second house that, that same first home, I was thinking about this morning. I was like, we had a pink master bathroom, if you called it a master bathroom. Pink tile, a pink toilet. Everything was pink. And there was no money for us to do anything about that. So I wallpapered that little bathroom myself because there was not budget for somebody else to wallpaper or to paint it or anything, to try to make it our own and to make it and I ended up loving that little bathroom. I used some green and white ivy wallpaper.
Wait a minute, this sounds like it's back in style.
I know, it would be. I just wallpapered 2 bedrooms in bathrooms in my house now. But anyway, yeah, I did it myself. And then our second little home, we had this little playroom that was the most boring white playroom ever. And my kids were little, and we spent a lot of time in that room. And so I wanted it to have a fun atmosphere. I wanted it to be somewhere that they wanted to be. And for me, that's always been my first and foremost goal about making a home, is I wanted it to be somewhere my family wanted to be. And I wanted it to be somewhere they wanted to bring their people and their friends too, you know? And so it was about just creating an atmosphere with whatever I had. And I took remnant bolts of fabric and a hula hoop, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you this, and hot glued those remnants to this hula hoop and suspended it from the ceiling in that little bland little playroom to create this circus tent effect. So it would be a place that when we were there and we hung there a lot as a little family, that they would want to be there. And it just was fun. And so I'm just, like she said, I just want to emphasize, it's not about the stuff in the home. It's about the spirit of the home. And I hope my kids would all testify to this as well. Long before my home ever looked maybe the way I want it to look, it felt the way I wanted it to feel as a mother.
I can hear this in your throat.
Yeah.
This
I
is
get emotional
really,
about
really
it.
important to you.
It's pretty important to me.
Yeah.
My mom was a great homemaker, and it wasn't because we had a beautiful home, but people wanted to be in her home. And I've always wanted that to be the same about my house. Like when people would come to our house growing up, they didn't want to leave. They wanted to linger because she always had something for them to eat that was delicious.
That's always a good draw.
I mean, that's a good draw. I mean, and she wanted them to be there. And you could just tell, like, you've ever been to people's houses, like when you get there, you already feel like they're about ready for you to leave. Like my mom she didn't ever do the dishes until people were left because she didn't want people to feel like, if she started doing the dishes, she didn't want people to think that was their cue to leave, you know? So she's like, we were taught growing up, like, you don't do the dishes until everyone's gone because I don't want anyone to ever feel like it's time for them to go. Yeah. As long as they want to stay, they are welcome here. And so I've always just had that heart about it. It was a way of honoring her. She's not living. She passed away when I was a senior in high school. So it's been important to me to make my home that safe place for my family because my home was a safe place for us growing up. It was a nest. It was comforting. It was peaceful. It was happy. It was joy-filled. My mom didn't wait until company was coming over to live life the way she wanted to live it. She didn't just do those things for other people. She did it for us. She wanted everyday life to be abundant living because that's how we're supposed to live in Christ. Like he gives us abundant life, and it's not just the other side of eternity. It's today. He wants us to live like people who are gracious and giving and generous and all those things. And so I want my home to be a representative of that so that my kids see this is how we live as believers in Jesus Christ. We live generously so that when people come over, we offer them whatever there is in the refrigerator. I want people to feel like my home is their home when they're here. They're not a guest. I want them to feel like they're at home, you know?
That's why they don't leave.
So, I mean, I hope, you know. So,
yeah.
you know.
No, that's totally it.
Yeah. So, and fortunately, like most of my kids, you know, they did. They had people over here all the time. They still have. My youngest just graduated from college. When he brings guys home all the time, they always stayed here for OU Texas. You know, all those types of things. And still, he has now adulting friends. He just told me today one of them's going to come and stay with us this weekend because they're going to be together.
My kids, recently, not too long ago, Mallory told somebody that she hardly knew at church that if they were in Dallas, they could stay with us.
Yeah.
And we had a girl that came to stay with us, and she was awesome. We were able to love on her and ministered her. And Mallory hardly knew her. And she said, well, that's weird. You don't even hardly know me, and your parents don't know me at all. And she goes, oh, you just wait.
Yeah.
When you get in there, you'll be just fine.
Yeah,
and she still calls. But isn't that the way the Jewish culture was? And isn't that the way God has family designed?
Yeah.
When he talks about family, he talks about being a father, he uses vernacular that is family oriented, and home and mansion, always you're bringing you home.
Breaking bread, always around the table. Always room for one more at the table. His table is never full. He is always there. It's always an invitation for yet another to join him.
And
how
much the world needs this.
Oh, we were talking about this weekend because I had a family wedding, and so we were reflecting on a lot of things because it was my sister's daughter that was getting married. So of course my sister's daughter had given her a little something, a little token, a little piece of jewelry to remind her of my mom, and you know, it was some special moments, and we were just talking about how we just would go from home to home, you know, but there were a couple homes that were off limit for us because they just weren't safe places for us to be. But how different, how sad. Neighborhoods aren't like that anymore.
No.
You know, and yet, you know, they should be, or at least our homes should be open for neighbors and things like that. So anyway.
And I know when my kids were little, we didn't have a dining room table either. I had a friend that I thought she was the richest person in the world because she had a place for a washer and dryer and her sewing machine.
Wow,
I'm like, what?
impressive.
You have a room that'll fit a
Yeah.
sewing machine and your washer and dryer's like not in the by the
garage
pool
or by the, yeah.
by the pool because we lived in an apartment. But I remember making that dining room into something that was wonderful for our kids.
Yeah.
And it was their playroom.
Yeah.
And it was right there by the kitchen.
It was
and
perfect. Yeah.
so as you're going through these times, Sarah and I, want to tell you from the other side, it's not about the stuff.
It's not.
It's
I
not
promise
about the
you,
stuff.
it's not about the stuff at all.
And a bag of potato chips in a pretty bowl
Yep.
is just as
Yeah.
beautiful as some kind of fancy
Yeah.
hors d'oeuvre.
One of that just made me think. One of the favorite things I think most of my kids' friends would say going into our media room, I had these, like you said, fancy jars. I had these jars, and they were always filled with the kids' favorite candies. And they were pretty sad when they came home after the remodel because it's just Chris and I now, and we were like, we don't need this candy here.
No,
We
because
want-
we're eating it.
We're eating it. We don't need this anymore. We're trying to be healthier. So I changed all the candy out for like healthy options. And my kids came home for the first time after they were like, where's the candy? And this is what we're known for. And I was like, I didn't know that's what we were known for. Mom, this is what we're known for. We're known for the media room candy dishes. And so it can just be whatever.
Brett did the same thing. He came home the other day and he was looking in the candy drawer and he's like, Mom, there's no candy. You have it hid somewhere. I'm like, no,
it's
there
gone.
isn't any in
No,
there.
it's
And he
gone.
goes, this is not okay.
I know, exactly. No, I've like done it with all these all fruit bars and these granola bars that are like grain free, and they're like, what the heck? And I was like, well, we're up here a lot, but we don't want to be tempted all the time. And
Right.
you know, they're just like rolling their eyes, going, okay, whatever.
But
So,
you see the memories that you can make by doing that?
Yeah.
And please understand that there are homes where our kids will go and they won't want to leave there either because there's wrong things going on there. And they can get away with things they're not supposed to. So knowing where your kids go and how long they stay and who is supervising them is really important.
Yeah.
And when you find a home like Sarah's, you're going to feel just exactly the same way as all the other moms do.
yeah. You just said something too. You said memories, and it jogged my memory a little too, because I was thinking about, I know there's a lot of pressure, especially in this area, for your home to look back to look a certain way or whatever. And I just would encourage you, like, it shouldn't look like everybody else's house. I don't think you want it to look like everybody else's house. You want there to be something that's different about your house, that grounds your family, that sets you apart, that makes you unique. It's like, you kind of, like we always told our kids growing up, like, you represent Christ, you represent us, and like your home should be unique to what your family does, what's important to you, what you believe in, and that kind of changes over time too. I mean, the console that I used to have back there was filled with games when the kids were living at home because we are a game playing family, and so it was very easy for us to just grab, because if it was upstairs in the game room, it didn't grab a lot of times, but if it was right here, we would grab it to play a game after dinner or those types of things. And so to create an atmosphere of whatever it is that you want to be important to your family. I mean, the kids knew. I mean, my Bible is going to be, they know where my quiet time is. It's out. I don't hide it. I mean, it's over there. You can see it right now. That's where I have quiet time. And so to make these things that are like routine and rhythms in your home creates peace itself, and creates, even if you just make like pizza night, spaghetti night, baked potato and whatever. We always had breakfast for dinner one night a week when the kids were little, because it was an easy meal for me to throw together. When, especially, I worked outside the home for the first 10 years of our marriage. And so it was like one of those days when you hadn't really planned anything. I was like, what are we going to do? Well, the kids thought it was awesome if I said, throw on pajamas, we're going to have breakfast for dinner. It was a party, you know. When you build these things into your routine, I think there's just something about it's also you're building these memories and these special moments that you don't really think there's anything to them, but your kids come back to them. And
They do, and they remember
again
them.
and again, you know. And
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, because you and I have talked about the dinner table.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to say you have too many sports and everything, and I have a tip for you on that. But Sara, tell me your thoughts about the table.
I think the table is probably one of the most important things in a home. For me, growing up, again, I'm going to go back to it. I mean, we were always gathered around that table. My mom did love to cook, and so a lot of times, I mean, it was home. It was just different. Like there wasn't. I grew up in a small town. There weren't a lot of options for, like, pulling through and getting stuff. So it was a different world that we lived in. But even if you're picking something up, there's something about sitting around a table as a family. It does unite you. I mean, my kids to this day we linger around a table for hours after a meal's done because that's just the way they grew up. It was our place that we connected. It was where we shared things. It was where they learned that they could tell us anything and it was going to be okay. Like we were going to get through stuff as a family. It didn't matter what it was. I mean, it didn't mean everything was okay, but we were going to talk about it. And so you start that very young. You start by saying, hey, rainbows and sunshines, whatever it is that you're thinking. You open that up, and there's really no better place to do it. I thought, than coming home from school, especially with boys, because they talked more when they weren't eye to eye, it seemed like. So in the car, bath time, around the dinner table. But the dinner table is so critical, I think, to building a strong family. Yeah. And I do mentor some young moms, and I was shocked at the number of them that they don't ever have a meal together as a family. They eat at different times and all that. And I understand it's not going to happen every night, but I would just urge you to make it a priority. And it doesn't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy special. I mean, it can be baked potato bar or breakfast for dinner or spaghetti, whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be a crazy meal, but make it a priority to have dinner as a family, to pray together as a family.
Yeah. And we have 5 kids, as you know. And so it was spread out. So we had big kids, we had little teeny kids, and everybody was in a sport or something. Of course, only one at a time. They could only do one sport at a time because I just couldn't be in that many places. But it was really valuable to us to always have dinner together, and we did until we lived out in the country. Remember, we had that house out in the country, and it was my dream house. I mean, I cried when Warren says, I think the Lord is, that's another story, but he said, I think the Lord wants us to go in town. I said, you have not heard from the Lord. And he looked at me like, whoa, what are you talking to me like that for? But he had, and we moved into town. But one of the reasons that he felt like we needed to move was that we were not having time together at the table. Yeah. We were not eating together. And so in the interim between when we left that house and we came into town and it became easier, we switched it to breakfast.
Yeah. We did that too.
We switched it to breakfast.
I had one that
and that
played
we
travel hockey
all got up and we had breakfast together. And then we always had, Sunday was always a meal with the family, hands down. Even if we were having, our group was coming over, and we always made spaghetti we always made spaghetti on Mondays. So all the kids knew that Mama Mona made spaghetti on Mondays.
Exactly.
And anybody was welcome. But that's good.
Yeah.
But I needed time with my kids.
Yeah.
And so.
But there's something comforting about routine and rhythms, that your kids just know certain things are going to happen. They just know that on this night we're going to do this, and on this night we're going to do that. And I mean, still to this day, if we're at home and we're OU grads, and so if we're not going to an OU football game, my kids know that if we're all in town, that we're going to have game day chili for OU football games. It was just like, that's just what we did. It's what my mom did growing up. It's just like, and it just is like something that you can come around as a family and like claim that this is ours. This is the way we do things. This is the way we do things.
And as we're sitting here, we're giving you great ideas and we're encouraging you. I know that you may be thinking, I can't do that. And I hope that you'll see with the suggestions that we've had, that you will be able to do it. But now I want to tell you why you need to do it. It's because connection doesn't just happen. Bonding absolutely happens. Yeah. As studies have shown us that we bond immediately. We can bond just by touching our children's head or smelling their hair, and we can bond together as a family. But to connect in relationship as a family, we have to be able to do that one-on-one or together as a family. Mm-hmm. And that's what God wants us to do. Mm-hmm. He created home specifically for that. He created marriage
Yeah.
for the connection between husband and wife.
Right.
He created family so that a family would learn to love one another and wrestle with each other and fun and not fun,
Yeah.
and to have these relationships that grow. So when we go out into the world, we're solid in who we are. And your children will be solid in who they are because they belong.
Right.
We always say, we're the Corwins.
Yes.
And Corwins do this and Corwins don't do this.
Right.
And Corwins believe this and Corwins do not believe this. We talked in group talk.
Yeah.
Because we believe in individualism, but we do not believe in individualism that pits itself against the group that is the family.
Yeah, 'cause
And
we're a
God
team.
created it
Yeah,
that
we're
way.
a team. We're on each other's sides. We should be our biggest cheerleaders, our biggest allies, our biggest supporters, encouragers, all those things. And a lot of sanctification. Home is a place of sanctifying and of growing. And we're still, I had a conversation this weekend with my grown daughter talking about what areas that I still know I need to grow, and being just real honest with her. I still don't have it all figured out.
No.
But, and she knows
and
that.
figure it out every morning. It just doesn't seem to go
Exactly.
away. Yeah.
So,
I want y'all to, we could talk about this for a long time. And there are ways to get this done. And in the Moms Like Us Academy, these are some of the things that we focus on. And it's not the only thing, but it is a source of homemaking to make your home a place that feels like heaven on earth, that smells like heaven on earth. And I believe that it's so our kids get used to being like the church, one body with different parts, and every part has a place. And that's something else that they learn by being in family and being together and connecting. So if you struggle with this, you can DM me and I'll help you however I can. One of the Mom Mentors is always available for you. But if you are in the academy, then you have access to all the extra things that we have here in the academy. And one of those things is learning things even deeper than what Sara has talked to us about today. So, okay, so what is how about a big tip? A couple big tips.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
I see something going over there, so that's the smelly thing.
That's
everybody knows
oils.
to do that.
That's essential oils.
We all know that because we all watch Instagram. We know essential oils.
No, I'll go back to a couple things that I'm just thinking of that we can maybe see from here. Back to personalizing your home and evoking memories, making it your own. I always, I like to make home cozier and just feel more inviting and warm, and just that it's a place that your family wants to be. A couple easy things to do is to bring outside in. God's creation is so beautiful. There's this time and a season and a reason for everything. And so to make that part of your home and just to switch things up a little bit with the seasons, it always just makes things feel warmer and cozier. And so I have a bag of tricks that I've literally used for 20-something years. I keep them in Ziploc bags, okay? Here's some acorns and some pine cones. I have leaves. I have Easter eggs. I have pumpkins, whatever, And I usually will have one or two places. Right now, I have a little thing over here that's a little bitty. I'm going to go grab that.
Yeah, go get it.
I'll grab it.
Whoops, you're hooked.
I can't. I'm hooked.
You're hooked.
Well,
You can't.
I can't. Well, there's a little
Over
thing.
there. I'll take some pictures and we'll clip them in.
There's a little thing that I will change things out with. And right now I have seashells and there's seashells that we have collected through the years on beach trips. And so every summer, somewhere in the house, I'll usually put a little bowl of seashells out. And it's just like a little reminder. It takes you back to those moments. It evokes memories that you've had together as a family. I have a little kaleidoscope that I got in Israel. I just have little things out and about, different places that are just personal. Different seasons. If it's a graduation book, a certain album for kids, that was out on the dill so that people would flip through it. I have another little thing. It was kind of funny when we did the remodel. I had this great big box that the kids played all the time. It was called Shut the Box. And I have the big version in our game room. But I stumbled across this little version And it just warmed my heart because we just spent so much time playing that game when they were little. And so I put it out, and the first time the kids had come home after the remodel, I was delighted when I'm in the kitchen. I look over there, and they're all three hovered around that little bitty, tiny one, playing Shut the Box. They're like, Mom, where'd you get this? I want one of these for my coffee tables, because it just took them back, you know? So your home should be personal. It should be, again, I mean, like, make it homey and make it feel like you. And, you know, I just think doing little things like that, it's really easy to do. It's really easy to do little things that make your kids feel love. Again, right here, I've got this little thing. It's pistachios. When my boys are going to be here, they love pistachios. I put it on a little dish. There's a small little vase in the middle. They can put the shells inside the pistachios.
Isn't that a great idea?
And so whatever it is that is your family's favorite snack, have it out. Because then guess what? They're going to want to be down here in the family room instead of up in their rooms. My goal when the kids were at home, I didn't want anybody in their rooms. I'll just be real honest. I didn't want anybody in their rooms. I wanted us to be together. So whatever I could do to make sure that this was the place that they wanted to be, in the fun spot, versus, you know, up in their rooms, huddled up in their rooms. I just made it happen.
So
you
good.
know?
And talking about doing it on a budget, I think 2 years ago we had a decorator talk about how to decorate and how to buy things that can be used every season.
Oh, yeah.
And she talked about buying glass things that are just glass. Mm-hmm. And then whatever you put around it in a bowl or mm-hmm. whatever, a plate, then you could adapt it to the season that you're in, which obviously you could do with your magic bags.
Oh, I do. And I usually have like one piece. It's changed out. I used to have this big oblong thing on my coffee table, and that was kind of my seasonal thing. I would have little antique Santas in it at Christmas time or whatever, and it just kind of changed that one thing. Right now I have the Astromerias in that right now because they're like the cheapest flower ever, and they last for weeks. Like they will last 3 weeks. So talk about flowers that are on a budget, that are budget friendly.
I'll put a link.
That is it.
I'll put a link to the those flowers that are, and also the ones that are on your counter. Yeah. So that you can see the flowers to buy so that they last.
Yeah.
And
well, those are looking a little sad because those were literally leftover flowers from a shower I
But they still look good.
2 weeks ago. So the flowers that are in my house right now are all like things that are left over from other events that I've hosted or helped with, except for the Astromerias. And I keep those regularly because they last for 3 weeks, and so they're just very budget friendly.
If you like real flowers. Yeah. If you don't,
but I
at
would
the
fill
end
that
of the
with
season,
Easter eggs. Or I would put, my little bag of eggs at Easter time. I would fill that little vessel that now has flowers. I would put some Easter eggs in it, or I would put really pumpkins in them, or whatever. Just bring in part of God's creation outside.
And do you see how you don't have to put a lot of thought into it? You just know that these areas, the counter in the corner, the coffee table, maybe you swap out one pillow each season, or you've got pillows like these pillows over here have blue on the front and they're beige on the back. You could flip that beige around and then have a smaller pillow on it as an accent and still have what you need. Yeah. So there's always things that you can do that don't have to be Pinterest perfect, and you don't need to click here to shop now. No. You can just go to your fancy little
or
bags.
Even just go, like, we would gather up. I mean, I've done shown people how to do tablescapes before. And literally when my kids were little, we would do that on a nature walk. Okay, we're gonna have our Thanksgiving table. We need to find some leaves. We need to find some sticks. We need to find whatever. And I'd make our tablescape out of whatever it was that we found on our walk. So you don't have to spend money. I mean, like I said, our homes look very different than they did when our kids were growing up.
And we put kids through college.
Yes, yeah.
We did this when the kids were in college.
So now it's kind of fun to get to do some of those things. But I'm still so, I'm so frugal and so budget. I still think like that.
But don't you think that just allows you? I love it when my husband said, my wife can take a dime and make it into $1. Yeah. And it's just like, I feel really, I feel really good that I can do that.
You can do more with what God's given you for. Because we're blessed to be a blessing. We're not blessed to bless ourselves.
No.
Really,
Another thing, if you see something that you really love on Instagram or in a book or in the store, I would go and see all the fancy stuff. And then I would keep going to stores till I found something I could afford.
Yes.
And I got what I wanted. I figured out how to make that happen within my budget because I was going to honor the hard work that my husband did.
Right.
And I was going to have the fun of knowing that I
part
did
of
it
the
like
fun
that.
was just like finding it for like
and then
the
telling
less.
everybody, oh my gosh, I got this for $5.
Wasn't there a show at one time on like TLC or something? I don't know what it was, but it was something like that. It was Design on a Dime or something like that.
That's exactly
and they
what
would
it's
take,
called. I knew it.
They would take inspiration rooms that were like super crazy expensive.
And
then they would like go and find, they had spent thousands of dollars on something and then they would find it for $10, you know,
Right.
and you couldn't tell the difference. They'd be which one's the inspiration room and which one's the whatever. So yeah.
And another tip I have is when you have something you're kind of tired of it, see if a friend wants a swap.
Yeah.
What do you do for Easter? Like I'm so tired of my bunnies, and I asked a friend the other day. I go, what do you have for Easter that we could swap?
Oh, that's smart.
Of course, I ended up giving it to her.
Yeah. Well, I don't really. I would say if you're going to spend money on something, spend money on things that will last a long time. Like I have used a few things like that for a long time. Because I don't know, I'm just so, again, like we lived here for 18 years and never did another thing to it until 18 years later. So I like what I like, and I don't necessarily have to change it all the time to whatever's.
And you should like what you like.
Yeah,
you should like what you like. And another thing.
Yeah.
Get out your pretty stuff.
Yep. Use it for your family, not just for
after my
company.
kids were 3 years old, when they turned 3 years old, no more plastic cups. I know, no more sippy cups.
Yeah.
Everybody had glasses. I went to the dollar store, which was called something else then, and I got cheap glasses. And when they broke them, we cleaned them up.
Yeah.
But they learned how to handle it.
And they learned how to set a table. Both, I have a daughter too and 2 boys, but my boys know how to set a table, and they know where the napkin goes and the silverware goes and the drink glasses go, and they know all those things. And someday that's gonna, when they're at an interview or something like that, and they actually know which fork to use. It comes in handy, and knowing how to wrap a gift and all those things. Like, when you're doing these things to make your home a home, you're also equipping your kids to also do that for others. Like now they can both wrap a gift beautifully to give to someone, and for me, that shows love and like an extra little bit of something. It's not so much what the gift is, it's the fact that they went to the trouble of wrapping it, And one of their girlfriends told me that made an impression on me, and he
looked even better.
It gave me a gift. It was like, wow, I didn't really care what's inside this because he wrapped this,
Oh
so stuff like that,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap up.
Okay.
Because we could talk.
Speaking of wrapping.
Speaking of wrapping, I would like for you to give one piece of advice to the moms for today. It doesn't have to be about what we were talking about, but something that's just weighed on your heart. You are with a lot of moms, and our culture's topsy-turvy, and this is all fun stuff that we're talking today.
Yeah.
But it's hard being a mom today.
Yeah.
How would you encourage them, Sarah?
Oh, let's see here. First of all, I can remember when I first started staying home, I remember I got into this really bad habit of saying I was just a mom. And then I remember distinctly the Lord convicting me of it one day. And I'm probably going to tear up.
You are tearing up.
Probably going to tear up thinking about it, because I just think about like my mom. I was 17 when she passed away, but she still is impacting me today through her prayers, through the way that she discipled me, the way that she lived her life, all those things. And moms, I truly believe, and this might sound really cheesy and cliche, I really truly believe that moms and Jesus can change this world. And so, I feel very, I don't know, I think it's just very important that what we do in the home, it matters. And the world can tell you that it doesn't. And the world can tell you that you're just a mom and you'd be better off if you were earning a 6-figure income or whatever. Do not let anybody tell you that what you're doing does not matter. It is the most important thing. We are discipling, we are making disciples for Jesus Christ who will go out and impact this world and can change this world. So I would just encourage you, don't get caught up in all the little stuff. It does matter, because home is a nest. It's a place that you want to feel safe, you want to be at. So we build these little nests, not so that they look all pretty, but because it's our people, and we want to take good care of our people. We want them to feel loved. Like you feel loved when somebody's done those things for you. Yeah. And we don't want them seeking love in other places that are not going to build them up or encourage them or point them towards Jesus. So we want that to be done in our home. And so I would just say what you do matters, and more than what you have for dinner or anything like that. But dinner time matters too. The little things do. It all adds up. It builds on each other. But just don't let anybody tell you that being a mom, you're not just a mom. You're a disciple maker, and you are working for the kingdom, and you're growing the kingdom, and you're
it's important.
I don't know. That's the first thing that came to
Motherhood
my mind.
is not a natural talent. It's a skill, but you can learn it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was really, really good.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Glad you're
it.
here.
All right, little mamas. We will talk to you next time on Moms Like Us Do Things Like This. Bye for now. Bye. I sure hope you enjoyed this episode of Moms Like Us Do Things Like This. Sweetheart, we have so much more over on the website Moms Like Us, and we also are on Instagram at Moms Like Us __, and you can just join us over there to learn why we should know what we should know, what we should know. But I have got a little special thing that we have in the Moms Like Us world. It's called the Moms Like Us Academy, and I hope you'll consider it. You can find out more about it on the momslikeusorg website, but it is full of master classes that teach you how. Because, girl, motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. But to learn it, you have to know how. And that's where we do it. That's where moms just like us, moms just like you, we make it happen. So I hope that you will go over and join us in the Moms Like Us Academy. Okay, that's it. Bye for now.